what we want to talk about is women's relationships with women. And the way you guys judge each other so harshly, it's a pretty interesting dynamic that you can seem to find certain dynamics of energy that is just below the surface of someone's personality, and tend to, what shall we say, poke on that dynamic any number of times, or see a reflection in the great. And here becomes the question, doesn't it? Is that dynamic of that energy between women just a reflection of yourself?
Yeah.
In other words, is the dynamics of the things that you're seeing in other women that irritate you, is that really just a reflection of yourself? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you can take that as a simple answer, but it is much more complex than that,
Yeah.
Isn't it always?
Yeah. No, I have an emotional reaction to Megyn Kelly because, and it, sure, I mean, I'll go there. Yeah, I have major issues with women because of my abuse. I don't trust them. They don't trust me, and I've just learned to live with that. So yeah, I'll go there. But with her specifically, a lot of the things that she preaches are harmful to people and do harm to people. That's the issue that I have with her. And not only that, when she's challenged, it completely falls apart. When she's not challenged, when she's sitting there on a podcast or on a show and is unchallenged, she can do harm to people, and I have a real issue with that. And maybe I do the same thing, and I'm willing to look at that.
She's a trigger for you. Don't listen to her.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, no, I don't. But I mean that was the big reason when her name came up. I was like, what?
I mean, it sounds like you still have an issue because you keep talking about her. I mean, screw her. She has nothing in your life. Just kick her to the curb.
Right.
Yeah.
Podcast. You can change the channel easily.
Well, I certainly don't watch her. I mean, in the times that I have, because I watched the movie about how Fox News just completely just tried to destroy all the women on that show, and it was terrible the way she was treated.
Time did not stop then. See, the problem with focusing on these sorts of dynamics, especially when you're in a place of assessment of other people, once you judge them in that sort of way, it kind of freezes your opinion in time and space, and there's no room for you in the dynamics of your understanding of them to, in other words, it's not that it's impossible, but it's more difficult if you have a dynamic of judgment. It's like we understand why you have the dynamic of judgment, because in fact we know of the interview in that whole podcast that all came from. All right, we in fact have looked at pieces of that through the channel ourselves, and so we do understand that. But that dynamic of energy that happened quite a bit of time ago, and she in fact has moved into more of an advocacy dynamic around transgenderism and what she's calling the mutilization of children that are underage. And so she's very much an advocate of that dynamic now. And so she can do that because she's a mother herself. And so you see, a lot of times the dynamic of energy, especially in certain situations, people are intended to be reflections of certain things. And so the Megyn Kelly that presented that dynamic of that energy back in that day was very purposeful. But just as you have moved and grown since that time, so has this person. So the problem is that if you make a judgment like that, then there's not room for anything else afterwards. And so that's
no, I don't. That's just about her specifically. I have a problem with her. There's plenty of women that I absolutely admire. Jane Goodall, okay? She's doing a lot of great shit in the world. I mean, plenty of people, women.
Allow us to just say to you that we're sorry. We're just using you as an example.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. This is an example. It's a beautiful example of the dynamic. We don't believe that's what you are, that this is the way that you are generally, but we're saying to you, you might wish to consider the dynamic that, yeah, okay, that's who that person was, but that was quite a bit of time ago. In other words, you wouldn't wish us to, interact with you from a dynamic of energy that might have occurred in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
You've moved and you've grown, and you're not that same person any longer.
No.
And so you can give each of you, if you can give that dynamic of that grace, of that feeling of, leave it open ended in that sort of way, so that you might be able to realize that, just as you are moving and growing, just as you take certain. Now, you can also find out that the person has gone more asshole and has gone in completely the opposite direction. But see, even that's a dynamic of assessment. If you keep the dynamic of assessment open, you can say, oh, well, this person was an asshole back then, and they're still being an asshole now.
Yeah.
So it leaves the whole dynamic of, what shall we say?
Being in the moment.
Well, but it's also a dynamic where when you judge something, you don't have to really think about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.